What's up, everybody? It's Friday night. You know what that means. It's time for our Friday night review of Friday Night Smackdown. I am not Scows. I am a chef by trade and a mark by choice. I am the Will Gray. And joining me tonight on Friday Night Review are two of the gentlemen you are super familiar with. First and foremost, he is the host of Friday Night Review, one of the hosts on the table spot, and the host of The Boom with Cam G. It's my brother from up north. It's our boy Cam. Cam, how the hell are you, brother, on Friday night?
Hey, man, I'm doing all right, man. You know, it was an okay Friday night. Can't complain.
I'm excited to see you. We don't work nearly enough together anymore.
No, not at all.
Not nearly enough. And adjacent to this on me on the screen is somebody I work with even less. He is the voice of Diamond State Wrestling. He is my brother to the west, if Cam is my brother to the north, and Bo is my brother to the south, and Dad Hat is my brother to the east, and I sit in the middle in fucking Nashville. It's my boy Jamey Rose. Jamey, how are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Work. We talking about work? It's all shoot, brother. Anyways, I'm here with the Will Gray. I'm here with the Cam G, and I'm excited for another edition of FNR. Yeah.
So before we get going into it, we're going to run a Will Gray version of FNR tonight. So I'm going to start first and foremost with you. We're going to do it just completely ass backwards before we get into the card tonight because it's my show. I'm the captain now. Where do you rate this SmackDown? Coming out of SummerSlam, 2 weeks now with Roman on Friday nights. We see the first interaction of Jacob and Roman getting hands on each other, really. Like, Jacob does a good job selling the boot. Let's start at the fucking top of it, guys. How do you rate this SmackDown coming out of SummerSlam with how they're flowing now going into a week into 2 weeks of Bash at Berlin? How are they doing coming out of SummerSlam, I guess, is my question.
So I'll say the Friday night last week, it was slow to start. It started out quick with Cody. Everything was good. And then it was slow and then ended very hot. Started out hot, ended hot. Tulsa crowd was on fire for it. And this week, kind of different. Started out a little slow. The Cody segment, I don't really know about it, but it ended like white hot. So going in the bash, yeah, like Snipey Snipes said, Raw is the better show at the moment, but SmackDown, it has its moments for me, really.
Cam, you were in the building with me, not with me directly, but adjacent, as it were. You were across the stadium from me. You felt the electricity in the air. We were there. Roman came through the curtain. The OTC made us come back. How do you feel now, 2 Fridays removed from SummerSlam, going into this week?
I definitely think that Monday Night Raw has more of the momentum right now. Riding off of that, because I think a lot of the top storylines really advanced more, I think, on Raw. But then again, though, I think they just have a lot more going on than SmackDown currently does. So I think Raw right now is still riding high off of that momentum, that momentum boost that SummerSlam gave them. SmackDown, however, I think they're starting to pick up steam. I said I agree with Snipes in the chat. I think Raw's a better show. SmackDown is kind of picking up the momentum, but right now I think their show doesn't really flow all the way through 2 hours. It's spotty here and there. Some things you'll question, like, why is this happening? Other things you'll be like, now that I actually do like. So it's very spotty going into Bash in Berlin.
So let's dive into it, guys. Let's just go ahead and just peel the Band-Aid off. Let's get into our SmackDown review. That's why we're here. We have a job to do. Opening segment, Tiffy time. That pink purse of a Money in the Bank briefcase, Nia Jax, Michin. But in this segment, we got pretty deadly. So Nia comes out, or Tiffy comes out, Nia comes out. She's got pretty deadly. They go through the thing. They show you that first little bit of dissension between the two of them, and then Michin breaks the whole thing up. My question is, too early to show the dissension now? Or is it already a good time to start putting the seeds in? Jamey, you're somebody who's held a pencil in your hand a time or two recently, buddy. How do you feel about this? Is it too early to start planting those seeds of the turn happening already for us to only be, again, 2 weeks out since Nia won that belt?
Well, they didn't really do much in form of the dissension. They really kind of just teased it more than anything. The bow to me, it was very slow, very like discreet. Obvious, it's in your face, obvious, but it's to a point. It's not like bashing her. It's like, oh yeah, bow to me. So if they did it like just kind of inch by inch, just kind of, scoot the cup a little, just every single day, just kind of scoot it a little, and then you finally get to your climax point. I think that's a good way to approach it. I don't think, unless like if they did more than they did tonight, I would say absolutely it's too early, but they didn't do a lot to really push the envelope, which is
Now,
perfect.
Cam. Oh, I'm sorry. Finish, Jamey. My apologies.
No, you're good. I was finishing up.
Okay. Now, Cam, my question for you is Tiffy the one that needs to be the first female to fail a cash in? Do you think she's too red hot, and if she fails a cash in, will that deflate her balloon? Or do you think, because they've referenced it since she won the belt and leading up to Money in the Bank about how there's never been a failed female cash in? Are they foreshadowing it too much to where if she does fail, we go, well, we knew it was happening because that's all they fucking talked about? Like, do you think it would be a bad move for Tiffany to fail her cash in?
Absolutely. I think that's bad business. You don't build her up as great as you've built her up. I think really her test was, what was it, in Australia, at the chamber. That was her
Correct.
real test. I don't think they expected her to be as over as she was. And I think that's when the light bulb went off for them in creative. They said, now we know for sure she's the one. So I don't think I really don't think that would be, I just don't think that'd be good. That's not good business. It just isn't. And I feel like, where do you really go from there if she does fail? It's going to be a long and tough climb back up to the top for her if they were to have her fail the cash in. So I'm hoping not. I think she deserves it. She hasn't even been wrestling very long, and she has progressed very fastly. She's caught onto it very quickly. And I think she can be a great thing for ushering the new era for the women's division. So, yeah.
Can I hop in real quick?
It's your show, man. I'm only here to drive the bus.
Hey, just as much as like I kind of agree with Cam with they shouldn't have her lose, but with her losing, it wouldn't help her as much as it would help her. Well, it wouldn't help her, but it would help her too. Kind of both. With her gimmick, it kind of works the same way it would work with Chelsea Green to fail the cash in, because she can lean into it with her character. So with that being said, for her to be the first one, that's just another chip on the shoulder. Kind of the LA Knight kind of terms of booking. Yes, it was bad, but LA Knight was able to still have get himself over with his character and his work on the mic, in the ring, his charisma. And, say what you want about her, Tiffany has that. For her being so young in her career, she has that. So even no matter how the chips played, she can make it work. So that's
New to
kind of
this
how
world.
I feel about that.
New to this world brings up a good point. What if they use the Virgil approach and they use this as a means to allow Tiffany to turn into a baby face, which makes the turn on Nia that much more worth it? If they somehow to work this to where she gets over as a baby face, would that make you okay if she cashes in and wins, if it makes sense in the story?
I mean, it would make sense in the story. Just me personally, I don't think she's at the point in her career where she needs to be baby.
or a babyface champion, which would be fucking rough
No.
for your first run.
Yeah, she has so much
I think. I mean,
potential as a heel.
I think she'd be a temporary babyface just because Nia right now is going to be the obnoxious heel, being, oh, I'm the queen of wrestling, and she's just going to be so just like overwhelming as a heel for fans to, obviously they fans are going to love to hate her pretty much,
And we've seen it in
And-
wrestling before, time and time again. I'm sorry to hot tag over you, Cam, but we've seen it where two really big assholes feud, and the lesser of the two big assholes was somehow the baby face in that feud. So we've seen this there as well, the Tiffany tree of WWE.
I mean, that's how MJF became a face.
Yeah.
Very true. Very, very true.
So I could definitely see that, and then like her winning the championship, and she just goes back to being Tiffany Stratton that we knew before when she was a heel. So,
which was her best Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah.
Let's move down the card. We got a backstage segment. Our boy Carmelo's back there, and he decides he wants to go around with our boy Andrade again. What's up, Mike? Thanks for stopping by, bud. It's good to see you. So we get the backstage segment, and Melo is somehow pulling off playing the underdog heel because he's lost already to this guy, but he's still that underdog twice. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to get the win, but he still keeps that better than you mentality, which I appreciate. They go out there. They do exactly what you'd think for a 1 segment, 10-minute match with some intros. Like, they do good work. Carmelo gets that underdog win over Andrade, and it's 2-1 now after the 3. Thank you for the sub, Tommy, coming in clutch with 3 months. How do you guys feel? I'll let either one of you go this round because it's pretty much the same question. How do you guys feel about Carmelo coming out of that hot streak in NXT and now kind of playing this underdog heel? I want to show the world I'm as good as I think I am kind of character he's playing right now.
So,
I mean,
go
ahead, Jamey.
Sorry, just my answer on this is actually pretty quick because, like, yes, I think he probably should have came in as, probably the mid card, stuff like that. Of course you're getting called up, but for him to come in as a highly touted first round pick in the draft, since we're supposed to make that matter. Will has a different opinion on that. We all know. But
drafts aren't real and brand splits don't matter.
Thank you. I love you for that. But he comes in highly touted as a first round draft pick. They actually started, kind of putting that into the commentary tonight, and that was a nice touch. But at what cost when he's coming back from being an underdog and always fighting from bottom? It doesn't make much sense to me. I mean, yes, he's going to be a top level star in the company, 3-5 years down the road. But right now, for them to really like show him as a top caliber guy at first, and then just to have him come from below, because it's not like the NFL draft where we're only drafting rookies. They're drafting through the pool of everybody. So for me, it doesn't make sense to me, but I understand why they're doing it.
Cam, what you got on our boy Carmelo Hayes?
I mean, I get it. I get what Jamey is saying, but I think it's going to be a slow burn for Carmelo to really get to the top, to really get to where we're used to seeing him be in, the position we're used to seeing him be in. I don't mind it though. I really don't mind him kind of being the underdog heel. Really, I don't. I think he's almost kind of like in the Dolph Ziggler position. Dolph Ziggler's doing the same thing.
Some Ziggs, dude. I love
Dolph Ziggler. I'm better than you. Well, I mean, I guess to kind of quote MJF, basically, I'm better than you, and you know it, kind of thing. But I'm going to prove it to you. So I honestly don't mind it, and I honestly don't mind the feud with Andrade. I mean, I want a little bit more story. I want a little bit more something I can really sink my teeth into, rather than it just feeling like it's a series of competition. I'm better than you and whatever. Like, I want something a little bit more than that. But I think based off what happened after the match, and they're still brawling and they're being broken up by security and refs, stuff like that. We're kind of getting there, so I definitely like it, and I can appreciate. I got to give credit to creative, and I got to give credit to these two guys as well, because when this feud started, nobody cared. Both these guys came out to barely any crowd reaction. Now they're making the crowd care about these guys being in the ring, because they know when these two guys get in the ring, you're going to see a great match. So I'm liking that. I'm liking that both of them are getting over equally. So and this could push them into more of a even closer to a main event scene. They definitely need it. And I'm glad they're giving my guy Andrade something. Finally, it's just not one off, move on to something else. One off, move on to something else. They're finally giving him something.
And I'm glad they're, doing something with Andrade too, because I mean, last week I was in the crowd in Tulsa, and they were the crowd. They weren't into Santos, but they were really into Andrade, and that says a lot, because Tulsa's a hard town to get over in. And I'm saying, just it's an old school wrestling market. They don't really go for much, but that crowd was hot. They liked Andrade, but they weren't really into Santos Escobar. They really, they were also into Carmelo when he popped up. So, for them to both be in this rivalry, says a lot, and it shows that, they really believe in both of these guys. And I'm excited to see what happens next with it.
You know who I believe in?
Don't.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Actually, I was going to say Naomi. I think Naomi needs to be a future women's champion in WWE, and she had a match tonight, and it was against Paige. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. It was against Jamie Hayter. No, but I take that back. It was Blair Davenport, because she looks like a mix between both Paige, and I say Paige because she looks like when Saraya was in NXT, and she looks almost identical, like she could be Jamie Hayter's little sister, depending on her gear sometimes. So I'm going to call her Paige Hayter is what I'm going to call her. It was Naomi versus Paige Hayter in a great women's match. They gave the women a whole segment, kind of the same thing they did with the first match with Andrade and Melo. They gave them a full segment. They did their entrances. They got their stuff over. They got their shit in. I was playing RuneScape. I don't remember the winner of this match. I'm gonna fail as a host here. They were quizzing me at the end of the show. Will not all British women look the same? But they do. They do. New to this world. They don't all look the same. I take that back. No, they do. They all look the same. But who won, Naomi and Paige Davenport?
Davenport.
Paige Hayter. Davenport won?
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, yeah. Blair won. See? The chat's got my back. I appreciate it, guys. What is your takeaway here with this women's match? You guys got any your 2 cents to throw in here?
I didn't like this match at all. This is awful. Like, I like Blair. Blair's great. I like Naomi. Naomi's great, but neither one of them was really showcasing the best of lights here. I don't know if it's them being on the road and them traveling all the time and them just being tired. I don't know, but it's like their chemistry just did not mix tonight. There were some moves that were done, and it was just like it was just sloppy and slow, and
the split leg moonsault.
Some moves
she went to she went to reverse it, and it looked messy. Like, and I don't know how to describe that. I'm not, by no means was I saying it was a great match, but it was a good match for these two women. I think Naomi's a star. I'm always going to stand Trinity Fatu as a worker for sure. But this was definitely just kind of the middle of the road. Yeah. Get a women's match on the card at the top of the 8 o'clock hour kind of match. Yeah. That's what it felt like to me.
I personally feel like Naomi deserves better. She needs to be showcased in a better light. I mean, she was TNA Women's Champion not that long ago.
Yeah,
and she deserves better than that. I mean, if they don't have anything else better for her, then it's just like why did you even bother bringing her back? That's how I see it. Blair Davenport, I think she's still getting her feet wet on the main roster. Personally, I say keep her on Raw. There's not anything for her going on SmackDown right now. She looked like a baller rolling up in a freaking drop top with Unholy Union, the tag champs on Raw. Keep her on Raw. That's her spot right there. That trio right there, I like that trio. That trio smells like money. Looks like money too. So this was okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even like the ending. The ending. I mean, I've seen Shayna Baszler hit that little like knee strike thing, and it looked believable. It looked devastating. But this was like this kitten soft knee strike. 1, 2, 3. I was like, really? Like, nah. That just I don't know. That this match just didn't do it for me. And I know, and it's sad because I know that these two can do better than what we saw tonight. So this was, as you said, Will, it was just a women's match to get a women's match on the card and get it out of the way. So
we got 2 backstage segments that kind of built up. The first one was they gave us a vignette for returning Giovanni Vinci. Quick thoughts on him coming back as his old self without the Imperium nonsense. I think that's where this segment was. This where the vignette was, wasn't it?
yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah. You hear my
Jamey,
dog?
do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. What do you guys think about Giovanni Vinci?
He just needs to go back to NXT and reinvent the wheel.
Okay.
You don't think this will get over on the main roster by himself?
I mean, it can, but you see what they put on a 2-hour show. What's Giovanni Vinci gonna do?
Cam?
I mean, he could be another challenger for LA Knight down the road, but you know,
somebody for LA Knight to chew up and spit out.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you know, man, I don't want to be negative here, but I mean, it's better than, I guess it's better than what they were doing with him on NXT 2.0 slightly, because it was like he was like supposed to be, it was like he was like a spokesman for like Colgate, because he's just smiling away, and it was just weird, you know.
Get it, bro. You got universal health care and they'll take care of your teeth.
Yeah,
like,
so it was weird. It was so weird. So it's slightly better than that because they're giving him kind of like an edge. But I don't know. I really I'm hoping that they really kind of beef up his promos, because I mean, we already got Andrade, and Andrade's, you know, kind of going back and forth between like English and Spanish, and I don't think we need another single star who's kind of speaking a different language. Like we got Shinsuke, we got Andrade. We don't really need Vinci too. Like we don't need him doing that. But I'll give it a shot, I guess. I'll give it, you know, probably a month or so whenever he debuts or whatever. But I don't really see this going anywhere. That's, you know, I just don't see him really doing anything interesting. He's just gonna be there. He's just gonna be there to fill up a spot on the roster.
Yeah.
One thing we did get though in this whole little shindig going on with the Giovanni Vinci segment, we got a backstage segment with Morgan Wallen and that one guy, the one who fucked up his cash in for the US title. Oh, that's right. A-Town don't give a fuck. They were backstage talking shit, and Kevin Owens comes up and he's like, I'm gonna beat your ass now. Let's go out to the ring. So we got Kevin Owens is never gonna put on a bad match. The man, as they would say in Tulsa in the 70s, Jamey, that man could wrestle a broom. Yes. Like he could have a good match with anybody. He goes out there, him and Grayson Waller do their thing. The shit show and insanity ensues. And for some reason, we've got the Universal Undisputed Heavyweight Champion running to the ring to help the number one contender for his next pay-per-view match to break up the former World Tag Team Champions. Boys, what do you think?
Austin Theory
fell
just
flat.
needs to turn or whatever they're going to do with this. The tag team, the A-Town Down Under tag team is just, it's run its course.
It's washed. I'm sorry. I was never a fan of either. I jokingly call Grayson Waller Morgan Wallen because in the city of Nashville, Morgan Wallen is pretty much all but blacklisted at this point. He's not welcome in Metro Davidson County, to say the least. So it's just
when you throw chairs.
Yeah, you get drunk and casually drop the N-word and start throwing chairs off of 16-story buildings. Like, you tend to not be welcomed back. But so what do you guys think? Is the A-Town Down Under ran its course? It's been going on too long. Is Kevin Owens a convincible opponent for Cody Rhodes going into Bash?
He's a convincing opponent, but not, I mean, you're having babyface versus face, and it's not really like there's nothing to write home about. There's no story along with it besides the, oh, you've helped me down the road to get to where I'm at, so here's a match. Like, brother, let's see something. You might get something next week, but it's like, oh, I'm just gonna hold on to the title for 15 seconds, then give it back to you. Be like, oh, this is yours, brother. Listen, brother, like I want to kick your ass and take your belt. That's what it should be, man. Like, it's wrestling, brother. Come on.
I mean, Scouts had talked about this last week, and or was it Scouts?
Makes sense.
Somebody talked about this last week. I think it was Scouts.
It was Scouts.
But
I wasn't.
Definitely.
Yeah, it must have been. I was probably Scouts then. But no, he basically had said that because we were talking about the same thing about Kevin Owens or whatever, and Kevin Owens has been a babyface for quite some time now, a very, very long time now.
Like a year and a half.
I think we have genuinely kind of almost all but forgotten about his great work as a heel. And I believe that I would love to see heel Kevin Owens come back because his heel work was amazing.
Amen.
I was sitting in the chat watching it with the guys, and I was screaming, "Give me a package pile driver!" And they were like, "They made it illegal." And I said, "It's kayfabe illegal." You know how many times Jerry Lawler threw a fucking pile driver in Memphis after they told him not to? Like, push Kevin Owens to the point he finally makes that heel turn. He goes back to the fucking Kevin Steen of PWG, and he starts dropping package pile drivers on people to get his point across. If he's not going to beat Cody Rhodes in a sense that he wins the title, make it convincing to where you think Kevin Steen will just run through that place and just murder everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. The KO feud with John Cena. Fantastic.
That or,
Great stuff.
even like he loses the match in Berlin. After the match, drops Cody and just dips.
Oh no, if he loses in Berlin, he annihilates Cody. Like it's just a 15-20 minute just whooping of Cody Rhodes.
I wouldn't even be mad if KO loses because he finally gets to a point he snaps and ends up getting himself disqualified. And that's how we end up getting Cody KO 2 at Bad Blood or something with some sort of stipulation. Like, this doesn't have to. KO's fighting his demons because he's been the good guy and he's gotten screwed over so many times. You just go to the cage match and just Google like Kevin Owens versus Sammy Generico. And you see how many times those guys have turned their backs on each other. This man's understanding of getting screwed over. So I think what we need is just that build. I've been a good guy. I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. I can't handle it anymore. F it. This is what got me to be the Universal Champion. Let's go back to who that was. You know what I mean?
I'm tired of being the nice guy because it's not getting me anywhere.
Nice guys finish last or whatever the fuck Green Day said, right? Make Kevin a heel style of Kurt Angle in 05 minus the Booker T parts. Just a vicious heel who doesn't care. Minus the Booker T shit. Very well said, gentlemen. I don't remember again because of RuneScape. What did we get between the Grayson Waller Kevin Owens match and the top contenders for the tag team match, guys? What was between those two matches?
I have no clue at this point.
I have no clue.
I'm
pretty sure the tag match was next. I don't know.
The tag match, it was up because it was the longest match of the night. It got 3 full segments. Street Profits, in my opinion, and I hate to say this shit because people on Twitter say it all the time and they don't really understand it. The Street Profits descent needs to be studied because there was one point where you were thinking these guys were going to be the undisputed tag team champions against the Usos, and then RK Bro happened. Okay. Yep. Then you think Montez is finally going to get that push at the Chamber. He's going to be the U.S. champion, and he's eliminated like second or third in that match. You're like, shit. Then and it seems like they're constantly getting to that point where you're like, oh, fuck, they're going to do it, and then they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So DIY Street Profits, what do you guys think about them using this opportunity as yet again kind of that carrot on a stick for the Street Profits? You know what I mean? I think they're the most mishandled tag team right now on the main roster because they could unequivocally be either brand's tag champions. And here they are bolstering other talent up instead of having a chance to get themselves over like they should. What do you guys think? Street Profits DIY. Am I just crazy? Am I just being a homer for the Profits?
I
No,
think this
not at
is
all.
them trying to make sure the Profits are happy. You know, Lashley took his ball, went home, and it's like, hey, you know, we still believe in you guys. Here's this win against the former champs. Like, that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that, Jamie. You know, and to be honest, I think the Street Profits are just a product of just being overlooked.
Yeah.
That's what I think, or a product of of they were going to do it, but then they got another idea that they thought was better at the time, and then they held it off, and it just never happened. So that's what I think. That's what I think the Street Profits suffer from the most in terms of their creative and their booking. But yeah, no, I agree. I think this is just a way to keep them happy and keep them in the limelight. Now, in saying that, I hope I'm wrong, and they finally are getting their stuff together, and they're going to start taking better care of the Street Profits going forward. But if they're going to do that, if they're going to showcase them in this light, make them number contenders and all that jazz, pull the trigger, make them tag team champions. I don't know what you're waiting on. They're as good as tag team as any other tag team you have on SmackDown. What are you waiting for? Pull the trigger and make them tag team champions. We all know that the Bloodline currently holds the tag team titles. That's temporary, just to advance that storyline. They're not holding the titles for 400, 500 days. At least I hope not, because that doesn't make any sense.
But for the immediate future, they're gonna keep those things pigeonholed.
Yeah,
and until it finally gets to a breaking point within that iteration of the Bloodline.
If the Street Profits were in any other era of the WWE, meaning we'll say post Ruthless Aggression, so anything between Ruthless Aggression and the Bloodline starting in 2020, would the Street Profits be WWE's top tag team, or at least one of the top branded tag teams for the split brand titles? If you take the Bloodline story out of the question,
I think they would be one of the top 4 tag teams. You know, if you have 2 on each brand, and they could hop from each to each.
That's kind of where I'm at with it too. It's just an unfortunate coming of the times for them to hit the main roster almost going parallel with the build of the Bloodline story. It just seemed like a really unfortunate timing for them is all.
Because, you know, like you had those guys coming on the top of their game. You had Montez, Ford, and you know, Dawkins, and then you had Jimmy and Jay just tearing it up. And that, you know, like that's kind of been the story with the Profits, is just the timing never lined up for them. It's always been to their detriment. Because you had Logan Paul come in and have the push that was supposed to probably be for an LA Knight or a Montez as a single. You know, you had the Bloodline get the straps put on him. Vince is like, oh, we need all the titles on the Bloodline. You know, when you had, you know, you had the RK Bros and you had the Street Profits, and it just environment of the time, just it was never on their side. And I think at this point, I honestly think it's too late for the momentum just to be with them. I really do. At least as a team.
That's depressing, Jamie.
It is very depressing.
Cam, you got any closing words on the Street Profits? Apparently, as Jamie starts putting the dirt on the burial of these guys.
I'm on the opposite spectrum. I honestly do think that,
I'm also on the spectrum, Cam.
At least my hope. Anyways, I'm trying to be optimistic here, Jamie. That it's not too late, and that they could still salvage it. And like I said, give them a push that they so rightfully deserve, and make them tag team champions. That's what I would say, do. You know, so I don't think they're done. I don't think they're done for. If they're not going to do anything with the Street Profits from this, then I'd say, I mean, they still could keep them together as a tag team, but I'd still say that Montez Ford is owed a little bit more of a singles push. He's just so good, and he hasn't really been given a whole lot as a single star. And I still think he could work. You don't have to break up the Street Profits, but you could still have them together and highlight him more. So either way, there's some things they can do with them.
I mean, obviously, there's things you can do with them. Montez will be, I think he'll be a top single star down the road, and I think, Dawkins could be like one of your top mid card players on either brand. He's got that size, that power. He could work with anybody. I really hope you're right, Cam, about them as the team. Even WWE since the early 2000s. In all the time I've been watching as a live fan, just with Vince and now with Hunter, just the mismanagement of tag teams, and it's still concerning. That's kind of where my piece is on it.
Yeah, I mean,
you know where my piece is? On that main event segment that happened right after that tag team match. We got Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns in the ring together. Let's just talk about it. There's a lot. This segment was, in my opinion, it was like a very tag teams don't sell out arenas, brother. It's Vince, probably.
We'll talk to the Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express,
You mean the guys that were on the
Legion
card
of
with
Boom.
fucking Flair and with Dusty Rhodes and with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and with Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan? And you mean you just want me to keep going through the roster? Georgia Championship Wrestling, Jim Crockett Promotions. I love the Rock and Roll Express,
baby, Von Erichs,
man. I absolutely love the fucking Von Erichs. I do not take away saddest story in pro wrestling, but I love the Road Warriors put some butts in seats, but let's be honest, at the core of it, without the mid card, the main event wouldn't seem nearly as special. And I can count on one hand how many main events have been tag team matches in those big shows, brother. I love tag team wrestling. It's probably one of my favorite focal points in wrestling because it's so complicated to do well. To get four personalities, four people to do it right. Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, one of the ones that did it perfectly. You know what I mean? Rock and Roll perfectly. Midnight Express did it perfectly. I just don't think that you could book a 50,000 person show off of a tag team the way you could off of a Dusty Rhodes, a Ric Flair, even a fucking Hulk Hogan, fuck Terry. Like, there were so many options back then as far as those big, larger than life. The only place since then outside, it was like that golden era of wrestling, then the Attitude Era, and then where we're at now, where you had just levels of stars. You got Romans, and you've got Kevin Owens, and you've got Randy Orton's, and you've got Cody Rhodes, and you've got Seth Rollins, and it just keeps going on, where you've got 10 dudes that could be world champions. It's just not a chance that a tag team is going to main event over unless it's fucking Sami Zayn turning on the Bloodline, costing them the tag titles to reunite Generico Steen. Like, it's the reason why it hadn't main evented since WrestleMania 1's. The reason why a tag match hadn't main evented since WrestleMania 1. There it is. Main event 1, main event tag match. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's happened twice. That was my point, Mike.
It's still important.
And one more thing, going off the tag teams before we do go in the main of the final segment, the main event segment, they would have been treated like the Usos in the 2010s. I agree with that statement. If you would switch the places and put the Street Profits in the Usos spot coming up in the 2010s, I think they would have been interchangeable. I agree with that. So let's talk about the Bloodline. Roman and Solo in the ring together, the standoff, the fight, the peppers, the punches and the super kicks, and then the Jacob Fatus of the world. Like, what do you guys think about this build and the inevitable push for this Bloodline civil war?
I love it. I love the fact that Roman is pretty much right now being booked as like a mute. He didn't said anything. He just comes out and just ready to fight.
Not a word.
He just it's like he's come back off of his hiatus and he's just like pent up of aggression. He's like, I'm not here to talk. I'm just here to fight. I love that. the shocking turn of events, because he has stood tall the last 2 times we've seen him. Tonight, though, getting the tables turned on him, that is something that I didn't see coming, at least not for a while. So, but I think they build off of that, and now we start seeing the puzzle pieces be put together of who's going to be on Roman's side. Now we see the ever so deserving of an Oscar award Paul Heyman come back in. We see Jimmy Uso come back. We see somehow they bring Jey Uso back into the fold. That's how we start to put these pieces together. Of we see Roman's team versus Solo's team, and then I would assume again we get to November, we get to War Games, we have a Bloodline Civil War Games. Everything's right in the world. So I'm loving it right now. It's great. And I gotta say, I don't know about you guys, but my favorite person in this whole Bloodline thing is Jacob Fatu. Like that dude, he's a freaking lunatic, and I love it. Like every time I see him, he's amazing.
Jacob Fatu, I think, is the wild card in all of this. I think eventually, they could even pull the trigger on a switch where he eventually turns and sides with Roman. Like, he's that unstable in like a good way. Like, and the boy can work. He is legit. I love it how a Ula Fala is more important than your 2 main titles in the company at the moment. Like that. Like the Bloodline is awesome again. We talked about how after Roman was gone, Cam, you were the biggest hater on it. You're like, what are we even doing, pal? What are we doing? This is what it's about, brother. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's like okay,
It's
I'm
rotten.
I'm kind of bored. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
All right, so that was the end of SmackDown. It seemed odd to me because I was sitting there watching with it, and I had shut my game down, and I was getting ready to close, and they ended it at like 2 minutes till. That seemed it seemed a little short because they usually have a little bit of a run over even by just a couple minutes. The news doesn't start till 9:05 here. Like, what are they doing? It just seemed for a good, strong, hard finish. When they put him through the table and it had 2 minutes left, it almost felt like we were going to hear somebody's music hit. You know what I mean? That's how they left it. And I think that's good production work for a great television show because they left us with those 2 minutes and we were like, there's still 2 minutes left. Something might happen. And then it just left Roman there lying. I think that was a very powerful way to end the show because they left you going, oh shit, this might be it for Jimmy or Jay. This might be it for Sammy. This, and then it just wasn't. And you were like, huh. And they've done that twice now with this story. They did it with Cody once, and now they've done it with Roman, where the Bloodline 2.0 left their opposition laying there put through a table, and you almost felt like Thanos after the snap, like you felt defeated.
Yep.
And that's hard to do when the Bloodline 2.0, the tag team belts, yes, but they don't win a lot.
No. But you could also say that they're not really about winning much as causing chaos, wrecking havoc.
Yeah.
If you want to get into the whole wins and losses doesn't matter discussion.
Yeah.
Just playing devil's advocate.
No, they did the same thing because I was in Cleveland for the SmackDown before the SmackDown Go Home show before SummerSlam the night before, and they ended like 2 minutes early there too because it ended at like 9:58. So they've been doing that a lot lately. So they'll end like a little bit before 10 o'clock. So
okay, see, I sadly, since I've handed the reins off and on a lot of the hosting duties on the recap shows, I don't really, how do I say this without sounding bad? I watch what I give a shit about. You know what I mean? So most of the time on a SmackDown episode, I've usually checked out. That's it. We made it. That was a good recap. We got through everything. Was there anything we didn't miss, we didn't talk about, or anything that you thought of that you want to throw in now for your 2 cents before we start plugging on the air and going home?
I don't think so.
I thought Go ahead, Jamie, and then I'll go.
You had the kind of the Meechin backstage segment with
Mm.
Green and Piper Niven. That was a good little segment. It was quick, got to the point. You had Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. They're great together. Piper Niven needs to be on TV more. She's amazing. She's great. Besides the point, just that was a good little segment. And that's really it. The only thing really I think we kind of didn't touch base on.
My closing question for you, I thought about this with the Andrade Melo thing. We talked about it in the session before when we were watching the show. Are they going to pull a bar here? Are they going to feud to a tag team? Is that why we've got 3 matches? They've already built to maybe having a 4th. Are we going to feud to a tag team? Is that maybe the move they're going with Andrade Melo? I didn't think about it when we were talking about that match.
I hope not, because I don't think those two guys would necessarily they just wouldn't click together. The Bar, fantastic. They're actually like one of my top 2 or 3 tag teams of all time.
I won't hold that against you. I love you, little brother.
Like, I love the Bar. But the thing is that their story just kind of clicked together, and then they just became just a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
These 2 guys, I don't see the similarities. I just don't. And for WWE just to even throw just more random tag teams around, you got Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. You got, just Axiom and Nathan Frazier. It just make it make sense. Tag teams aren't like they used to be. I mean, I will die on that road. Yes, there is good points of putting 2 singles guys together and putting them, like they did that a lot back in the day. But it's not the same anymore. Sorry, I'm going a little long-winded, Will.
No, I love it. That's why I was kind of asking. I completely forgot.
I know for me, I'm kind of with Jamie as well. I hope not. I think both of them will shine better on their own.
Yep.
Like I said again, I really just think this is just a feud for the time being, just to give them something to and remain active as part of the active roster. And like I said, it helps them get over. As I said before, this started as a feud where it seems like no one really cared. There was really no crowd reaction for either one of these great superstars when they came out, and that's always a bad thing. No crowd reaction is not a good thing. So, and I think that's what it's designed for. I mean, you can look at LA Knight and Bray Wyatt, the late great Bray Wyatt. LA Knight wasn't really over during that time. He's not. He's completely different now than he was then. And that whole feud was the reason he got over, because after that he blew up. So that they're kind of trying to do the similar thing here with Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. So I think they're just trying to help the betterment of both of them individually.
That's it, guys. Easiest 50 minutes of my life. I'm grateful for both of you. Cam, lead us off. Tell everybody where to find you, what you got going on, what's new and exciting in Cam's Wrestling Corner.
Well, glad you mentioned that, because you can find me right there on Cam's Wrestling Corner on TikTok. I'm a part of Wrestle Talk on TikTok, and then you can find me on at Cam's. You threw me off completely. Cam's Wrestling Corner, obviously. Call me Cam G, and then of course Cam Square Circle Mania, and then you can find me on Twitter /X at Cam and Cheese 317. And if that does not sizzle your bacon, you can find me on Instagram at 317 Bacon Eggs and Cam.
That's the fucking best. Jamie, you're up.
Oh man, you can find me at Jamie Rose PW on Twitter and I think Instagram. If you find me on anything else, then we're friends, first of all. And you can find me at Diamond State Wrestling on Facebook, the YouTubes, and everything like that. We should have the matches posted soon of our last show, United We Stand from Huntsville. Anyways, September 14th, if any of you guys are in the area, I know new to this world, he's local kind of ish. Mena, Arkansas, September 14th, we will have the new iteration pretty much of the Rock and Roll. We'll have Ricky Morton and Carrie Morton there, and Mina, also the grappler, and Alex Taylor of the NWA. So that's some
I know
exciting
that
stuff
guy.
coming up. And yes, I think he did an interview with Will a little while back. If you want to check that out, also on Rivet City Radio. You can find me here on Friday Night Review whenever I just want to show up on my whatever schedule I want to do, like the Tribal Chief, the real one. But with that being said, I just want to say thank you guys. I know I kind of get going and my motor runs. Off to the Will Gray.
That's it, guys. I'm going to do this short and sweet and to the point. And then we'll get out of here and make it happen. Remember to follow us anywhere you do anything on the internet, like follow, subscribe, unsubscribe, then subscribe again. There are a couple links in all of your descriptions everywhere you look where you're watching, be it Rivet City Radio or off the top. One will be a Discord link. That is a direct link to all the hosts, producers, and content creators and minds behind Rivet City Radio and off the top. The other one is your Botch Bots and Cheer Shots and off the top merch link at my Spreadshirt. Most importantly, though, don't forget is that Amazon Prime subscription. If you have Amazon Prime, come on, 2024.
Come on.
Everybody does. Link it. Go to your computer, log into Twitch, link your Amazon Prime account. You get a free Amazon Prime subscription. Give it to us here at Off the Top Media. Give it to Rivet City Radio. Give it to Creation World, She Elite Showcase. Give it to my Wrestling Bros. Give it to Get Show Podcast, Smacking It Raw. Any of my friends, just as long as Jeff Bezos doesn't get it. Boys, anything for the class before I talk real fast?
That's it.
Can we kick it?
Well, we can kick it. But now, as we close another episode of FNR, I want to take a minute. Thank you for listening. I remind you to go wherever you do anything on the internet, like follow, subscribe, unsubscribe, and then subscribe again. Leave a comment telling me that Cam is awesome and Jamey is fantastic. Either way, it helps the algorithm and helps find new listeners. If you're feeling really generous to be one of the VIP people, head to patreon.com and donate to the Rivet City Radio Podcast Network. You get some fantastic swag. We get some fantastic guests. It's a win-win for the voice of Diamond State Wrestling, my boy Jamie Rose, and for the host of The Boom with Cam G, my boy Cam G. I am the Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and listening, my people.
Wu-Tang's forever.
Wu-Tang is forever. There it is.